What's up, everybody? It's the Alex Leak and Friends College Football Podcast. Back for another week. I'm your host, Alex Leak. We got Dustin on the show as always. Good to have you.
Hey, what's up, man? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And then we got Dean on the show. Dean, good to have you back on.
Yeah, glad to be with you guys again.
And man, we were in for a treat with these playoff games. We don't always get two great games. Sometimes you get one great game, one blowout. We really were treated to some great football this weekend, weren't we, Dean?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Uh, so often you get all hyped up over these big final games, and then they just, kind of just become flukes, you know.
Yeah.
But both of these games were just right down to the last moment, in question all the way down, and that just added to the fun.
Yeah. Dustin, what were your thoughts going into Michigan TCU? What were your thoughts? Did you think TCU had a legit chance to pull the upset? Or,
I
first
mean,
play of the game, Donovan Edwards breaks loose for a 50-yard run, and it just seems like here we go again, right?
yeah, coming in just because of how high powered TCU's offense was, I figured, anytime you have an offense that can score 45 points a game, you have a chance to win any football game. But yeah, when I seen that run, I was like, oh boy, this could get ugly pretty fast.
Yeah.
And
And how big of a role do you think not having Blake Corum played in Michigan going out early?
I mean, it had a big role because obviously, if he doesn't get injured, in my opinion, that's the Heisman Trophy winner. And
Yeah.
amongst many other things, but he just he would have been a big factor. But Michigan kicked their own butt in this game. Turnovers, man.
Turnovers, mistakes, a lot of issues for Michigan in this game. And Dean, it started out with their opening drive. They get all the way down to the 2 yard line, and then they go for it on fourth down with it like a double reverse and get a turnover on downs and 0 points. Not a good way to start the game, huh?
What a cocky attitude, huh? I
Yeah,
mean, just take the points and let's just keep on playing the game. Um, I don't know why would you would do something like that. I was dismayed to see him even line up to do that. Um,
yeah. I preach every week on the podcast, like take the points. People nowadays tend to treat field goals like they don't matter, and they always matter at the end of games.
I agree. This is especially with college. It's a
Yeah,
very emotional game, and
yeah,
you have something that big, that negative happen to you that early. Um, it sets a tone.
yes. And I agree. And Michigan set the tone in such a terrible way of this game. Dustin, how about TCU? They go three and out. You give the ball back to Michigan. You expect them to go right down the field again. And JJ McCarthy throws a pick six to just, you get a turnover on downs and then a pick six, and you're just asking for trouble, aren't you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, again, you can't give up mistakes like that against a team who's scoring almost 50 points a game on offense.
Yeah. I
You
didn't
know,
know TCU was quite as explosive as they were.
oh man, that's why Max Duggan finished second in the Heisman Trophy voting. Which
Yeah.
this next to C.J. Stroud, this is the best quarterback that Michigan played all season. If not, he might be a little bit better.
Yeah. Yep. Um, Dean, what did you think of JJ McCarthy? He kind of struggled in this game a little bit. Too many turnovers, huh?
Yeah, you know how it is. One game you're Superman, the next time you're the goat, you're the loser.
Yeah.
You're the cause. Um,
Yeah.
that's just the way it is. You see it all the time in sports where you staying at one level and being good all the time is pretty hard to do.
Yeah.
I still thought he played well. I mean, he didn't stink out there. Um,
Kept him in the game.
huh?
Kept him in the game at least, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, he wasn't heroic like he has been. Um,
Do
but
you um do you blame so the Michigan's first three possessions of this game, turnover on downs, pick six and three and out. Do you think that's on coaching, not having your guys ready to go, coming out kind of lackadaisical?
Uh, to some degree, yeah. But again, what is the mindset of the players? I mean, they're playing TCU. What are they thinking about TCU?
Yeah,
Are they really taking them serious? Um, or do they feel that they're so damn good that no one's going to beat them?
yeah, yeah, and especially with kids, right? It's even more of a
Right.
factor with kids. Yeah,
Well, see, and that was the issue is TCU had to sit back for 3 weeks and sit there and hear of just how good Michigan is because if you watch a lot of these college, channels and stuff, nobody mentioned anything about how good TCU was.
yeah,
They
yeah,
had to sit back and hear, well, Michigan, they're going to get past TCU and they're going to go play for a championship. And TCU came in the game and was like, okay, count us out then.
yeah, and they got out. They took advantage of Michigan's slow start. They go down, take a 14-0 lead. What were your thoughts at that point, Dustin? Michigan down 14-0 early.
Well, I mean, I've seen them come back before, but I was like, ooh, you know, this could be a pretty bad start for them, especially again against a very explosive football team.
Yep,
And I was surprised by TCU's defense. I mean, I thought Michigan would run the ball, I mean, constantly all over them, but
yeah, yeah. Credit to TCU's defense. Um, Dean, after Max Duggan throws an interception, JJ McCarthy gets Michigan back. He throws a 49-yarder to Roman Wilson. It was called a touchdown on the field, but on replay, they said his butt was down just short of the end zone. A lot of Michigan fans are upset at that call. What did you think of that call?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes video says one thing to one person and one thing to another.
Yep.
Um, so I think it depends on the eyes of the beholder.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly thought his butt was down. And yes, there was a juggle of the ball.
Yeah, that's what made it tricky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that was before his butt was down.
Yeah.
Once his butt was down, he had control, and it looked to me like then he was in the end zone.
Yep. Yeah.
So that was my take. So I felt that was an incorrect call. That
Yeah.
it was in fact a score.
Yep.
Um,
It was very close. It could easily go either way. And then I tweeted at the time, Dustin, I said, because the very next play, Michigan fumbles the ball at the one and TCU recovers. And I was like, you can hate that call that it wasn't a touchdown, but that's on you for fumbling at the one, right? I mean, you can't do that.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have an easy shot to punch it in, and you make the mistake of turning the ball over, and those are going to cost you ball games.
Yeah. How about that, Dean? They fumble at the one.
yeah, I mean, it doesn't get any more crucial.
Yeah.
Anytime something happens to you at the goal line when
Yeah.
it's a scoring play, it's devastating. It's
Yep.
absolutely devastating.
Um, TCU is actually up 21-3. And then Michigan kicker Jake Moody breaks the school record with a 59-yard field goal to end the first half. A big 3 points, get momentum back in their favor. Dustin, how about that school record 59-yard field goal?
Yeah, I mean, man, big kick and big moments.
Yeah, you think he can be a pro kicker? He seems to
Jake,
have the leg.
oh yeah, absolutely, and he's very very accurate too.
Yeah. Um, Michigan first possession of the second half. They drive all the way down to the TCU 3 yard line, but have to once again settle for a field goal. That's the tough thing, Dean, is like you want at least 3 points, but when you consistently settle for three, that could go back to hurt you too. So it's a very tough balance, isn't it? Dean?
Yeah, yeah. Once you're in going into the ball, once you're into the ball game, you're scoring points. The going for the score at the very beginning to me was a gamble, unnecessary gamble,
Hmm.
because no one had any points. You're already in the ball game now. Now you need points,
Yeah, exactly.
and 3 points isn't going to help you much now.
Yep.
So I didn't have a problem with it there.
Yeah. Yeah, just it seemed like Michigan was kind of caught off guard by TCU in that early lead, and
Yeah.
kind of made things difficult, got in their head a little bit. Dustin, I know you're a big fan of Max Duggan. He throws his second interception of the game early in the second half. Were you concerned a little bit, or with Duggan turning the ball over and letting Michigan get back into the game?
No, because I know just how much of a baller Duggan is, man. He's a pretty good elite quarterback, and again, TCU is a good enough team to overcome those turnovers.
Yeah, absolutely. And then so Michigan, scores a touchdown, gets it, after that interception, makes it 21-16. But every time Michigan got close, TCU gave it right back to them and would go on a score. How impressed were you, Dean, with TCU, just especially on offense, putting up the points and big explosive plays time and time again in this game? Wasn't Michigan's strength supposed to be their defense?
Yeah. Yeah. But I tell you, when you're hot, you're hot. I mean, that's just the way it is. Um, the the TCU, I think the start really made my eyebrows rise, because they're normally a slow starting team, and I mean they took off right away, and then had to fight their way back into a ball game. I mean they were dominant from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So I just felt that Michigan's going to have one tough deal to get back into the game, let alone win it.
Yeah.
TCU gets tougher and tougher.
Yep, and on top of that, JJ McCarthy, the next possession, throws his second pick six of the game.
Yeah.
Dustin, how many times does a team win with their quarterback throwing two pick sixes?
Not not many times. I mean, we've seen it in the Gator Bowl, but that's very rare.
Yeah, and it gets you down 34-16. Like you said at the beginning, too many mistakes, too many turnovers, too many mental mistakes really cost Michigan throughout this game. But credit to JJ, he kept fighting. He accounts for 59 yards rushing on the next drive. Dustin, did you know? I mean, JJ McCarthy is a pretty good running quarterback too, and he showed it on that drive.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. I mean, he was a 5-star dual threat for a reason, So
Yeah, good. I mean, that's the one thing, Dean, is that Michigan just kept fighting, even though they were down big. They kept fighting. I mean, I thought the game was going to be over, and they kept getting back into it.
Yeah, kudos to them that they didn't just fold because
Mm-hmm.
of their surprise attack. Um, they did fight back. Um, that was good to see. It gave you the feeling that well, they still got a good shot at this thing. If they
Yeah.
just don't give away points, like anytime interception's okay once in a while, but a
Mm-hmm.
pick six is huge.
Yes.
You've not only got a turnover, but you've already given them points.
Yep.
You could throw an interception and maybe stop them.
Yeah.
So that getting points off of it right away is a huge mistake. But yeah, I mean um, I do believe they were in it to win it. I mean, I just think TCU was just determined and prepared and performed.
Yeah, and Dustin, I mean, they actually cut the lead down to three early fourth quarter. It's 41-38. Um, what did you think? I mean, such a high scoring back and forth game, and then Michigan fights all the way back. You had to be pretty excited watching this game live, huh?
yeah, and my whole thing was at the end of the day, I thought Michigan was a better team, and usually when the better team gets down, they always become a second half team, and that's when they end up pulling away in the ball game. But man,
Yeah.
the whole second half just became a shootout, and it was incredible.
Yeah, especially that third quarter, early fourth. And then you get within three and then allow Quentin Johnston a 76-yard touchdown. And at that point, you've given up 48 points. Dustin, I don't think any of us would have sat here and picked Michigan to win if they're going to give up 48 points. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I don't think they've done that all season long. Actually, as a matter of fact, I'm sure they haven't.
Yeah.
And you know, but man, kudos to TCU, Max Duggan, and how about this? They were 5-7 last year under Gary Patterson. They fire him, hire Sonny Dykes, and in his first year, he's playing for a natty.
Yeah. And crazily, they were unranked going into the season, and now they're going to the Natty, you know?
Well, not only they were unranked, they were way down the list.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't even. Uh, you have to go look for them.
Oh yeah. By the way, can I just throw something out there?
Yeah.
Do you remember at the beginning of the season when they were saying that the Big 12 is dead?
Yeah.
I think that narrative just got pushed to the side, right?
Yeah. I mean, incredible run for sure. Um,
Well, at least this year you had TCU and K State.
yeah.
That I mean, they were teams you had to deal with. I mean, just think if Texas or Oklahoma did something.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Dustin, how are you? I mean, Quentin Johnston, he's an absolute stud, isn't he? Some people are saying he's the best wide receiver coming out.
Oh yeah. Oh man, I've seen him play all season long, and he's explosive, bro. Like he's got the size, the hands, and the breakaway speed once he catches the ball.
Yeah, I can't wait to see him versus Ringo in the Natty, huh?
Oh yeah, that's gonna be nice. But I mean, you may disagree, Alex, but TCU has a shot to beat Georgia.
We'll see, and we'll get into our previewing that game here in a few. Um, let's see here. Okay, so Michigan cuts the lead down to 6. It's 51-45. They get an opportunity with not much time left on the clock, trying to perform a miracle. It's 4th and 10 with 35 seconds left, and there was a potential for a targeting call. Dean, did you see that? Did you
Yeah,
think it was a bad call? What did you think of the targeting? They go to replay and overturn it.
yeah, I thought it was targeting.
Yeah.
I did.
Now, is it targeting if it's crown of the helmet to the body? Because it didn't look like the contact was to his head. It looked like
Well,
upper neck or back.
yeah, well, there's the old, you go back with the beginning of what this started with was spearing,
Yep,
using the helmet,
as a weapon.
hitting someone in the chest. You saw what
Yep,
happened to the pro, with a charge to the chest.
yeah.
So, I mean, that's part of targeting as far as I'm concerned, whether
Okay,
it's the head, but it's still around the neck area, and uh, it was a force from the helmet. So
yeah,
that was my personal take on it. But I agree that they they said no.
yeah. They usually err on the side of caution, right? They usually err on the side of it is a penalty. What did you think on that, Dustin?
Yeah, I mean, to me it was targeting, but at the same time, targeting calls are so close these days, and
Yeah,
I mean, you really have to go with whatever your best judgment is. But to clarify targeting, to me, I think is a hit to the head or neck area.
well, it is, but it's also if you use the crown of the helmet and try to and lead with the helmet, and he did do that. So I think they could have called it, you know, but I don't think. Do you guys agree? I don't think that played a role in the outcome. Right at that point, Michigan was in desperation mode, and I don't think a targeting call necessarily saves them. Do you?
No.
I think it does.
Do you?
Yeah, I really do. You know, that's a first down. You know, it
Gives
gives you
them an
some it
opportunity
gives
at
you some
least.
breathing room.
Yeah.
I think it could have made a difference. Yeah.
Okay. So, some questionable officiating too. Michigan's got some reason for beef with that, but big story, TCU going to the Natty. Who would have guessed it? I mean, Dean, you do the numbers every year. Like you said, TCU was way down the list. Is this one of the crazier teams coming from the bottom? Cinderella story to go all the way to the Natty?
Yeah, I don't think this has happened uh, any time back that I can remember, where
Yeah.
a team that was so far out of sight worked their way up the list as well as they did and get into the big game. That's astounding to me.
Yeah.
So, I mean that um, it makes it a really a year to remember. If they don't win the championship, they're still going to have um, a big draw when it comes to recruit because people can see what they're made of,
Mm-hmm.
and so they did nothing but good for themselves.
This is gonna be a really good for Sonny Dykes too. This is quite a
Yeah,
statement, huh?
absolutely.
Yeah. And then looking at your numbers, so it's numbers is accurate. It has Georgia and TCU, the top two teams, but it's funny, they're only 8 points ahead of Michigan. TCU is. It just shows how close it is.
Yes. Yeah. You think about that loss. Um, who did they lose to? And you could almost argue that Michigan had a bigger loss than TCU.
Yeah.
But again, you go through the whole schedule, you analyze the full list of games, and then you evaluate what those teams did. Michigan had a cakewalk in the championship game. TCU had one hell of a battle,
Yep.
and so um, the numbers just. I mean, yeah, they're very close, but um, I was a little surprised too. But TCU did end up number two in this rating list.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, and then TCU advances to the national championship game. Uh, can you guys tell me the last time TCU won the championship?
I
Ooh.
can't know.
Oh.
Take
Uh,
a guess, Dustin.
uh. I'm gonna go with maybe when they had Ladainian Tomlinson.
Nope. That's a good guess. I mean, he's the best running back they've ever had.
Uh,
But I mean,
back
this
in the
is so, huh?
was it like back in the 30s maybe?
Yes. They claim two in the 1935 and 1938. The NCAA only recognizes their 1938 championship.
Wow.
So just a couple years ago.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I'm old, but I don't remember that one.
So I mean, craziness. We've been watching college football for a long time, never seen TCU in this big game. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they perform.
Yeah,
yeah.
I am too.
And Dustin, as far as you were rooting for Max Duggan to win the Heisman. On Caleb Williams wins it. I think Caleb Williams would trade his Heisman in for a shot at a national championship, don't you? And so Max Duggan can't be too unhappy.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely.
Um, And then I guess so. I think the latest report is Jim Harbaugh is returning to Michigan. Dean, are you surprised that every offseason there's a lot of talk about Jim Harbaugh leaving Michigan?
Well, I think there's quite a demand, I think, in the pros for guys like him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that he'll ever escape that notoriety. Um, so I think that every season you wonder if he's going to stick around and on this level. And so I'm not surprised that it's has to be voiced by him that he's going to stay.
Yeah. And me personally, my belief is being a Michigan alum, being a former quarterback, I would consider it unfinished business if I'm Jim Harbaugh. You can't get to the playoffs 2 years in a row, win your conference 2 years in a row, and come up short and be satisfied with that. I think he's got to stick around and try to get that elusive championship. Don't you think, Dustin?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it. They just actually had three major names within the last couple of days and entered the crazy transfer portal.
Wow.
Andrell Anthony Jr., one of their best wide receivers, and then a defensive end and another major linebacker. So
Yeah. We'll see if they can keep it up, keep running the Big Ten like they had the last 2 years, maybe take the next step in the playoffs. Um,
Well, I
and
don't know who you would pull in to replace him. Um,
Harbaugh,
I mean, that just, you've got your guy. It's the
yeah,
way I see it. So you want to do all you can to keep him. Um,
absolutely.
so, I think evidently he's still got enough love. As long as the Michigan people, the fans, focus on the referees and all their bad calls, so-called bad calls,
Yep.
uh, he'll get a break.
Yeah, and he's got
Um,
to get a
so
break for beating the two rivals, Michigan State and Ohio State, recently.
absolutely, yeah,
Yeah. So, we'll see what he does next year. Then so that's our first game. A barn burner, a great game,
yes.
shocking upset. Then we go to the Peach Bowl, Georgia, Ohio State. Dustin, did you really think Ohio State could give Georgia a run in this game?
I did because I think they were angry and all
Being
season
kind of
long,
counted out, right?
yeah, and all season long, Georgia has not seen an absolute stud like Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, and he was tough to defend. I mean, he was eating them up early. Um, they go up 21-7 early in this game, Ohio State. What were you thinking, Dean? Ohio State really came out similar to TCU, came out on fire, huh?
Yes, they did. Yeah, and man, you almost felt like, wow, this is a blowout, but it's not the direction everybody thought.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, it was right away quite interesting that this might just be a ball game.
Yep. And Georgia gets back into it, takes a 24-21 lead, but then Ohio State scores again, so they lead 28-24 at halftime. Dustin, watching this game, I mean, I haven't seen a ton of Georgia this year. Their defense was better last year, right? Because their defense was giving up a lot in this game, and it was frustrating me.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. But you have to understand, bro. It's not like they were facing a bad offense. They were facing nationally ranked the best offense in college football.
Yeah,
So and with elite NFL wide receivers already. With Emeka Ibuka and Julian Fleming and Marvin Harrison Jr.
yeah. Dean, you remember Marvin Harrison, senior, and what do you think of Marvin Harrison Jr.? He's a pretty incredible talent, huh?
Yeah, he's quite quite a skilled player for sure.
Yeah,
His old man wasn't bad, so
yeah.
the apple didn't fall too far away, did it?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, it's too
Um,
bad he got hurt.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Any worries for Stetson Bennett? I know he finished the game strong, but like he had some turnovers in this game as well. Dustin, what do you think of Stetson Bennett and his ability to win the Natty? I mean, do you favor uh the TCU quarterback Max Duggan over Stetson Bennett?
I do, but the difference is Stetson has better athletes around him
Yeah,
and a better defense. But I mean, if you put Max Duggan on Georgia, I think that no team in college football would touch him at all, not even close.
yeah. Yep. Um, Now, second half, Buckeyes up 35-24. Georgia missed the field goal. And then, did you guys see there was what looked like it was going to be a touchdown catch by Marvin Harrison Jr., and he gets hit hard. The ball comes loose. They throw a flag for targeting. On review, it was overturned. They said it was shoulder to shoulder. Dean, did you see this one, and did you agree with the overturn?
Yeah, that one I felt different about seeing. I didn't see. I really wasn't convinced it was targeting either.
Me neither. And this is something I've been preaching on the podcast for a couple years now, is that it's so difficult to tell in live speed whether it's a clean hit or not, you know?
Yeah,
Only until you go to replay can you tell. And on replay you could see it was shoulder to shoulder contact. And that's something I want the NFL to put in place real quick, is to make these type of calls reviewable, because how are you supposed to tell in live speed, you know? And
yeah,
they
it's pretty difficult for them. I mean, even with that, I mean, there's been calls missed, not called, and some called that were just unnecessary.
mm-hmm.
Um, so so they still got to get a little more consistent with it. I just wish they would change it a little bit to make it like with fouls in basketball, where you've got a flagrant one and two,
Yes.
where I mean, um, I don't know. I mean, you can't. They're not all on the same level
Yes.
as targeting. Some of them are caused because the running back or the one that got hit actually caused part of it by lowering his helmet or whatever.
Yep.
So I mean, I really do think that there ought to be two levels to it before you kick someone out, um, and that sort of thing. So they need to work on that a little bit more to make it uh, safer and more just.
Absolutely. And the last thing we want to see is kids getting kicked out of the biggest games of their career over a missed call or something like that, you know?
Yeah, over a call that's questionable.
Yeah.
And I agree with that 100% because if you don't remember, Dean, earlier in the season, like JD Bertrand, the Notre Dame linebacker, got hit like 3 games in a row with it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just crazy. The targeting call just, I mean, keep the 15 yards, but yeah, break it down and determine what is an ejection and what's not.
Yeah.
yeah. It
You
needs
can
to be
kind
a
of
little
tell,
more.
like,
It needs to
yeah.
be a little more consistent in ruling, and I don't think it depends on the person that's calling it.
Yep.
Um, you got it all of them can call it, so you got what, 5 or 6 different views of
Yep.
it. So I mean,
I agree.
I
I
think
think,
it's always gonna be a tough one to call.
yeah, I think they should put the emphasis on whether the action is reckless or fundamental, right?
Yes,
If it's how you're being taught to tackle and it's an accidental helmet to helmet contact, that's one thing. But if you're flying in their helmet first recklessly, trying to injure someone or something, then that's kick you out of the game, you know?
yes, yeah.
So
The
I think
intent
that's,
has a lot to
yeah,
do with it.
yeah, absolutely. Same with how the NBA does, like technical fouls and flagrants and stuff. I think that
Right.
should be similar. Dustin, so the officials overturning that call and Georgia holding Ohio State to a field goal here, in my opinion, was huge. Like the play of the game, really, because you keep it a two-score game at 38-24. If you allow a touchdown there and go down 42-24, I don't know if even Georgia's coming back from that, you know?
Yeah, yep, absolutely. I agree.
So a big defensive stand there. Field goal cuts it to 38-27. And then a complete breakdown in coverage by Ohio State, allowing wide receiver Arian Smith to get wide open for a 76-yard touchdown. And just like that, you're within 3 points. That's the thing is, you got to play defense for a full 48 minutes. You can't or for a full 60 minutes. You can't one mistake against these high powered offenses and that's it, you know.
Yep.
Um Ohio State field goal makes it 41-35, and then a clutch Stetson Bennett drive gets Georgia the late lead, 42-41 with less than a minute to go. Dean, how impressed were you by Stetson Bennett and Georgia on that final drive?
Yeah, that was come on dogs, let's go get it
Yeah,
attitude.
yeah.
They put it together.
Are you impressed with Stetson Bennett? Do you think he's got that it factor to lead this team to a championship like he did last year?
I don't know. I don't think he ever fit into that it circle. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, he's good. He's good, and I don't think they would be as good a team or have the record they have with maybe some other quarterback, maybe. Um,
Yeah.
but he wasn't the guy, the go-to guy. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
he was the general of the force. Um, so no, I don't think he's not the it.
Well,
Yeah. What do you
uh,
think, Dustin?
I mean, I agree with Dean, but at the end of the day, I mean, if that man walks home with back-to-back rings on his fingers, then you know, you really can't say much.
Isn't it similar? The Stetson Bennett debate is similar to the Jimmy Garoppolo debate to me, right? Like he's not incredible. He doesn't jump off the screen, but he does just enough on a loaded team and protects the ball and has you in position to win big games, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I
Um,
think he would lead. I think he would lead any team well.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but he's not the go-to guy like some of these other teams where TCU had a go-to guy. I mean, he
Mm-hmm.
drugged them all the way through the whole season.
Max Duggan, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, And then Dustin, were you surprised with CJ Stroud? I mean, he puts the team on his back. He uses his legs and gets them in a field goal range. He did everything he needed to do to win that game, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I feel bad for CJ Stroud, man, because he came into this game wanting to get a bad taste out of his mouth after getting blown out by Michigan, and
Mm-hmm.
the kid played his heart out, and with the definition of leaving everything on the field is what CJ Stroud did.
Yeah. Yep. And I mean, against a very good Georgia defense too. So credit to him. Dean, what were you thinking on that final field goal attempt, that 50-yarder? What were your thoughts?
man. Like I've told you before, I hate field goals. Because the especially when it comes down to the end, you've fought this whole battle, and you come down to one single guy who's not seen a lot of action. He goes out there and he's either going to be uh, the hero or the heel. You
Yeah.
know, you got to feel awful for people that have to step into that kind of role. But he's been very good.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't think anybody expected him to shank it like he did.
Yeah. It's
But
gotta be so
but
much pressure.
these are young men,
Yeah.
and emotion gets into it, nervousness. I mean, if he wasn't able to clear his mind, maybe
Yeah.
I don't know,
We,
because I expected him to hit it.
yeah. I mean, we see it all the time. Pressure burst pipes. You're talking about a trip to the national championship. How many
Yeah,
times have we seen really good free throw shooters go to the line with the season on the line and miss, you know?
yeah, dink it off the rim. It's like what?
Absolutely. What were you thinking, Dustin? I mean, 50 yards, that's a long kick.
Yeah, I mean, it is a long kick, and Noah Ruggles has made it before. It's
Mm-hmm.
just, I guess, it was all about the pressure. I mean, you make the kick, you win you go play for the national championship.
it was kind of cool how that kick was lining up with the New Year's, right? It was like a countdown
Yeah.
as he's kicking it.
How bizarre, huh?
Yeah. Me and some friends were at the bar toasting with champagne as that kick's going. It was crazy. It's a lot of fun though. Um, is this the best college football playoff we've had so far since it's changed to this format? It seems like it.
I would say yes.
Yeah,
For both games, I would agree. Yeah.
yeah.
Because
So
it was teams that were like I don't want to say exactly evenly matched, but I mean, it was pretty much
very competitive.
yeah, yeah.
Yep. So that leads us to the national championship game, Georgia TCU. Um, do you think, Dean, how do you see this going? I mean, do you think TCU can match up with Georgia?
Uh, I have no doubt about the capabilities of the TCU program.
Yeah,
No doubt at all. I know they're underdogs like for almost two touchdowns.
yep,
Um,
Have
but but I don't even pay much attention to that. That doesn't mean anything. First of all, um, Georgia will not be playing basically at home this time,
yeah,
so I think that's a factor too. So they're not going to have home field advantage. Um, so and TCU can play anywhere. So we'll see. I think they got as good a shot as anybody this year.
yeah,
Um, you know, I just hope this one isn't the blowout game.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would be frustrating. We really want a good matchup. This is Max Duggan's time to shine, right, Dustin?
yeah, absolutely. And I mean, this is basically him showing that maybe he should have been the Heisman Trophy winner, but I almost guarantee he'd rather take that trophy over the Heisman.
Absolutely, especially considering the long odds, and how long of a drought it's been for TCU. Um, am I right? And Georgia's trying to be the first team, I believe, since Alabama in 2011 and 2012. Does that sound right? To repeat as champions?
Yes,
yes,
yeah,
you're correct.
So I mean that even in the college football where it's dominated by the top teams, we're still seeing a decent amount of parity, huh?
Yes.
So that's nice to see. Um, everyone talks about Georgia's defense and Georgia's running game, but I think they're a pretty complete team. Like they can do it in all three phases. Um, what do you think, Dustin? What do you think of Georgia, the team? Do they have any weaknesses?
I mean, they do, and Ohio State exposed that. I mean, they have a good run defense, but I think their DBs can be beat on any given night.
Yeah. And then how do you think they do corralling Max Duggan? I mean, if CJ Stroud can get loose and run on him, Max Duggan should be able to, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And Duggan is the better runner for
Yeah.
sure.
So this is gonna be a big test for Georgia's defense. What do you think? Do you agree with that, Dean?
Yeah, I agree that TCU is they're going to study the film. They're going to see what Ohio State did and try to match it. And I think Georgia knows that. Uh, and they're going to have to focus on Duggan and keep him somewhat corralled.
Yep.
Because if he gets away from him, it's going to be a long night.
Yeah.
But Ben, I just don't see how you're going to cage this kid. He is so savvy. He is so determined. I think that he's going to give Georgia all they want.
Yeah. Could be one of those special years where a player, a quarterback, just puts on that cape and is Superman.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
This reminds me of like a Ohio State with the Cardell Jones type of situation.
Yeah. Yep. That was an awesome awesome run for Ohio State, and no one expected them to be there. Real quick, trivia time for you guys. The TCU started the season unranked, and they'll be the first team to go to the national championship game after starting the season unranked since which team? I'll give you the year, 1990.
Oh,
I bet Dean might get this one. Can you remember back to 1990, Dean?
Yeah, I can, I'm working my way back there.
yes. Let's see, 1990s. So that had to be somewhere like Colorado, Nebraska type.
Colorado, they split. Colorado's one of them. Who's the team they split with?
Oh,
Were you
man.
doing the numbers back in 1990, Dean?
Yes, but I don't have access to them.
Yeah.
That's what come into my mind. I wish I
So
could go back and just pull up the screen, but it would be on. Back then, it was all paperwork.
Colorado was correct.
What's that?
So Colorado was right.
Colorado was there. It was a split champions. Colorado was one of them. The other team is the unranked team.
Oh,
You want me to tell you?
no. Let me guess. Teams from the 90s who were good.
I
Let's
don't
see.
think you're gonna guess it because naturally you think like Miami, Florida State, something like that. But
Nebraska, you know,
yeah,
with Tom Osborne and stuff. Let me get one guess.
all right,
First of all, is it a Southern team?
yes,
Mm, okay, so it's Southern team. I'm gonna go with one of the Georgias.
correct. Which Georgia though?
Mm. If it's not the Bulldogs, is it the Yellow Jackets?
Yep, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets.
All right.
It's hard to even imagine that they were really any good at one time, but they really were.
Yeah,
Yeah,
were they still running that offense back then?
yeah.
No,
I don't. Probably so.
they. I think they only ran the option because uh, Coach Johnson was there
Yeah,
when he came from Navy.
yeah, but pretty crazy. You would have never guessed Georgia Tech.
No.
I got that from Joel Klatt. Joel Klatt's national championship game preview.
That guy's impressive.
Yeah. TCU, we talk about how explosive TCU has been this year. 21 plays this year of 50 yards or more.
That's pretty good, huh?
Yeah. Matchup to watch, of course, TCU wide receiver Quentin Johnston against Georgia corner Ringo. How did you think Ringo did against Marvin Harrison, Dustin?
He did the best he could do. I'm gonna say
Yeah,
that.
but Marvin special.
Yeah.
Georgia 32-1 in their last 33 games. But they better be ready. And I think Georgia is going to be ready. I mean, they should have a pretty good wake up call with Ohio State giving them as much of a run as they did, down 11 or down 14 late. And then you get to look at how well TCU played Michigan. Georgia better not take TCU lightly. They've got all the video evidence they need to be like, to take them seriously, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
Uh,
they were given uh, a grace by Ohio State. I mean, they better
lucky
take
to
advantage of
survive
the
it.
gift that they got.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know how they'll look at it, whether they feel they were destined or lucky or what. Again, they better have their focus on the right things. Because
Yeah,
I think TCU is going to be so hungry.
I agree. If they don't take TCU seriously, they're going to get beat. I think Georgia was the better team last year, and I
Yes.
think they're beatable. But to me, the X factor is it's going to come down to, I think it's going to be a close game late, and then who's going to make the plays late to win. And whether it's Stetson Bennett or Max Duggan, they're both very capable, right, Dustin?
Yeah, ab- absolutely, man. But I mean, in that moment, give me Max Duggan.
Yeah. Here's a stat. Georgia's defense supposed to be the strength of the team. They've given up 72 points in their last two games.
Yeah,
Yep,
there you go.
championship game.
Yep. SEC championship, yeah, and then the playoff. So, do you guys want to make? I mean, Dean, you don't have to if you don't want to, but if we want to make a pick here, Dustin, who are you gonna take? I get a feeling I know who you're gonna take to win this game.
You know what, man? I'm going out of the ballpark, man. I'm going TCU to upset the Georgia Bulldogs 34-27.
Okay. Um, I won't be mad either way. You know, I actually love watching this TCU team play. They're fun to watch. Max Duggan's a baller. I'm still gonna stick with Georgia. I think Stetson Bennett gets it done in the clutch. Give me Georgia 34, TCU 31. And Dean, you don't have to make a pick if you don't want to, but what do you think, you know, if you want to make a pick you can. What do you think of our picks?
Well, I have to analyze it this way.
Uh-huh.
First of all, I live in Alabama.
Yep.
Okay, strike one. That's in the SEC. SEC has pretty much dominated college football forever, seems.
Yep.
And it would be very difficult to actually say that a 14-0 team from the SEC is going to lose.
Yeah.
It'd be hard to say that.
Yep.
On the other hand, I lived almost 15 years in the Dallas, Texas area.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a short drive over to Fort Worth.
Yep.
And TCU was um, usually, while I was there, they were very competitive in the Big 12.
Mm-hmm.
And even while we were down there, my daughter actually considered applying to go to TCU for her education.
Okay.
So, we were watching this TCU Michigan game, and you know, she was just uh, adamant with everything that happened for TCU. I mean, she was just excited.
Yeah.
And when I even mentioned, or Matt, my son-in-law mentioned Michigan, she got grouchy. So I mean, TCU is one of her that they have a place in her heart
Yeah.
for nothing more than she considered going there. I'm making this a long thing, and I shouldn't, but
No, I like
so
it.
so so I've got mixed feelings about it. I can't say that I am, being that I was raised in the Big Ten country, I still favor the Big Ten people,
Yep.
teams. Okay. Even if I don't like certain ones, um, I will pick the Big Ten usually over any other conference.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm down here in the Southeast Conference with Auburn, and I haven't grown that kind of a feeling in me
Yeah.
about the SEC. I don't. There's only one team I even like in the SEC, and that's Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
So, with all that said, um, although Georgia is favored, they're playing away, and TCU is hot. I got to go with TCU. You know, I don't know whether they're going to score a lot on each other. It seems like they should.
Mm-hmm.
So, I would say, somewhere around. I think it will still be close. I don't think you're going to see a blowout.
Yeah.
It's going to be close. I would say something like 35 to 28.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, either way, I don't think we're going to be disappointed. I think I agree with you guys. I think it's going to be a great game. And if Georgia wins, you know, we get our first back-to-back national championship. That's rare. And if TCU wins, I mean, that's quite the story, huh? I think we would all love to see TCU pull it off. And the big question on Monday night is going to be, can they do it?
Yep.
Yeah. Um, can I ask Dean for his opinion real quick?
Yep.
So, hey, Dean, did you hear the breaking news out of South Bend today?
About the quarterback.
Yes, sir. What do you think
Yeah.
about it? I mean, everybody in South Bend, the sports media is going crazy saying that Notre Dame is going to be playoff contenders next year.
Who's the quarterback?
Sam Hartman from Wake Forest.
Okay. That's who you wanted, right?
Yep, he officially made his transfer over to South Bend. So,
Okay.
Yep. I gotta agree with you, Dustin. There, I think that's a piece that needs to fit the puzzle.
Yeah.
yeah, I think he's the guy. I mean, he has ACC records, big arm, can move.
Is he going to be the best quarterback you've had recently? Is he better than Jack Cohen?
Yes, because Jack Cohn was a statue. Sam Hartman can move. He has almost 1,000 career rushing yards.
Okay.
Yeah, and way better than Tyler Buckner. So, yeah.
What about Drew Pine? I know Drew Pine's your boy.
I like Drew, man. I wish Drew would have stayed. I'm sad that Drew went, but you know,
I think Hartman's an upgrade, though, right?
he is most definitely. I mean, he has 5 years experience. So,
Yeah. Well, it's gonna be something to keep an eye on going into next year. But I think that's a good spot to wrap it up. Can't wait for the Natty, huh? That's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's. I think it's going to be one to remember. I hope they need to finish it out. They had a good semis. We need the
Hmm.
last final one to be the same.
Man, with how good these playoffs have been this year, I'm itching for the 12-team playoff. I can't wait for that.
Yeah, can you imagine how much more fun that would have been?
Man,
You know,
I'll be going crazy.
yeah, it's coming. I don't know if they can still do it for next year. And I think they're 2 years away, but I would love to see them make the decision for next year.
Yeah. Yep. So we'll keep a close eye on that and see how soon we get that. But gonna be an incredible national championship, and we can't wait. And appreciate all the support, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Thanks, Dustin. Good stuff as always.
yeah, thank you.
And thank you, Dean, for coming on this year. It's been awesome having you on all season long, and you've been a great addition to the show. And we love the numbers and the insight you bring every time you come on.
Well, you've fed me something that I've not ever done before, and it tastes good. So I just hope next year we can do a little bit of same thing. So I
Absolutely.
appreciate it very much. I really enjoyed uh, being able to discuss the greatest sport in the world with two
Hmm.
guys that really care about it.
Yeah.
Um, I really respect the knowledge that Dustin brings to every time we meet. Um, the stats and the knowledge of all the players and teams and stuff. It's terrific. And Alex, your knowledge is just unbelievably growing. I mean, it's almost like you've always been on top of college football. You're there with us. So yeah,
I'm trying. I'm just trying to keep
we're yeah,
up.
we're enjoying it. Yes, absolutely.
But well, as long as you're willing to keep on coming on the show, we'll keep on inviting you. So looking forward to next year. Looking forward to Monday night, and appreciate it as always. And
Yeah. I just
go
want to
ahead.
say a
Yeah.
few. Uh, Dean, looking forward to seeing you next year, man, and stay healthy and happy, and appreciate all the support from you.
Yeah, same for you guys. Have a good year. Um, we'll see you come fall.
2023 is only going to be better. It's only
I
going to
think
keep on
so.
getting better.
I think so too.
Yep. So, all right. Thanks, guys. Have a great week, everybody, and peace out.